Matsuda didn't go easy on Bollea. During their very first training session, he broke Bollea's leg, a harsh lesson designed to test his resolve. Most would have walked away, but Terry returned after healing, proving he had the grit to survive the brutal world of wrestling. In 1979, he began performing under names like Terry Bollea and Super Destroyer, competing in smaller wrestling promotions throughout the southern US. Then came the moment that changed everything. A television appearance where Terry was interviewed alongside Lou Ferrigno, the actor famous for playing the Incredible Hulk. Terry's physique dwarfed Ferrigno and the nickname the Hulkster. Soon he adopted the full stage name Hulk Hogan, a name that would become legendary in households around the world. His charisma was undeniable. His sheer size, booming voice, and confident swagger made him stand out. Vince McMahon's the owner of what was then the Worldwide Wrestling Federation, WWF, took notice and signed him. Hulk Hogan was officially born, and he was just getting started. By the early 1980s, Hulk Hogan had become more than just another name on the wrestling card. He was a rising star poised to change the industry forever. His breakthrough moment came in 1984 when he defeated the Iron Sheik to win the WWF World Heavyweight Championship. This victory wasn't just a personal milestone, it was the birth of something much bigger, Hulkamania. Hulkamania wasn't merely a wrestling gimmick, it was a cultural phenomenon. Kids across America wore red and yellow shirts with the words Hulkamania blazed on the front. Action figures, lunchboxes, and posters featuring Hogan filled store shelves. His message of say your prayers, eat your vitamins, and believe in yourself became a rallying cry for millions of young fans. Hogan was more than an athlete. He was a role model, a superhero in real life. Standing 6'8", tall and weighing over 300 pounds, Hogan had the perfect mix of physical dominance and charisma. His matches weren't just fights, they were spectacles. He could draw in an audience with a single hand gesture, cupping his ear to the crowd as if to absorb their energy. When he ripped his shirt apart before a match, the arena would erupt with deafening cheers. Hogan's popularity extended far beyond wrestling. He became a household name, appearing on talk shows, magazine covers, and even commercials. His success marked a turning point for professional wrestling, transforming it from a niche sport into a mainstream entertainment empire. And yet, this was only the beginning. The stage was set for one of the most iconic moments in wrestling history, one that would solidify Hulk Hogan as a legend. If there was one moment that etched Hulk Hogan's name into the annals of pop culture forever, it happened on March 29, 1987 at WrestleMania 3. Over 93,000 fans packed the Pontiac Silverdome in Michigan, setting a record for the largest indoor attendance at the time. The main event, Hulk Hogan versus the seemingly unbeatable Andre the Giant. At over 7 feet tall and weighing more than 500 pounds, Andre was a mountain of a man. Few believed Hogan had a chance. But Hogan was no ordinary wrestler. He was the embodiment of American heroism, confidence, and determination. The crowd was electric, every moment pulsing with tension. Then it happened. Hogan scooped up Andre, held him aloft, and body slammed him to the mat. The arena exploded. Broadcasters dubbed it the slam heard around the world, a feat that seemed to defy physics and logic. Hogan dropped the leg drop and secured the win. This victory cemented his legacy in the process. That match became one of the most replayed, referenced, and remembered events in wrestling history. It wasn't just a victory. It was a spectacle that showcased the emotional highs of sports entertainment. Hogan wasn't just a champion anymore. He was now a cultural icon, a superhero come to life in red and yellow tights. WrestleMania 3 elevated the WWF brand and proved that pro wrestling could fill stadiums and capture mainstream attention. Hogan's body slam wasn't just a move, it was a moment of myth-making. Kids everywhere recreated it in their living rooms, and fans still talk about it today. But as Hogan's fame soared to unprecedented levels, new challenges loomed just around the corner, ones that would shake the very foundation he built. By the late 1980s, Hulk Hogan had transcended the boundaries of the wrestling ring. He was on cereal boxes in Saturday morning cartoons and the star of every child's bedroom wall. He became the first wrestler to host Saturday Night Live, and in 1989 he starred in his first feature film, No Holds Barred. America couldn't get enough of the Hulkster. To many, he represented more than entertainment. He symbolized strength, resilience, and unapologetic patriotism. But behind the curtain, the world of professional wrestling was beginning to show its darker side. The pressure to stay on top was relentless. Hogan was wrestling nearly 300 days a year, enduring grueling matches and carrying the weight of the WWF booming popularity on his massive shoulders. Injuries piled up. The wear and tear on his body was immense. Neck damage, back pain, hip issues. Behind the scenes, like many wrestlers of the era, Hogan turned to painkillers and performance enhancers to keep going. In the early 1990s, the WWF was rocked by scandal. The US government accused the organization and its head, Vince McMahon, of distributing anabolic steroids to wrestlers. Hogan was subpoenaed and eventually admitted to using steroids. Though he wasn't charged with a crime, the damage to his wholesome image was done. The very icon who would urge kids to train, say your prayers, and eat your vitamins was now facing backlash for not practicing what he preached. With his star beginning to dim and the public's trust shaken, Hogan stepped away from the WWF in 1993. The golden glow of Hulkamania was fading. But the next chapter would bring a shocking reinvention. When Hogan left WWF, many assumed his days as a wrestling icon were over. But Hogan was never one to stay down for long. In 1994, he stunned fans and critics alike by joining World Championship Wrestling, WCW, a promotion owned by media mogul Ted Turner. For a while, he continued his red and yellow persona, waving American flags, defeating villains and playing the hero. But something was missing. The fans had grown older, tastes had shifted, and Hulkamania's shine was beginning to dull. Then in 1996 came one of the most shocking moments in wrestling history. At Bash at the Beach, Hogan, long the face of wrestling heroism, betrayed his longtime fans, turning heel, aligning with Kevin Nash and Scott Hall to form the notorious faction, the New World Order, or NWO. Ditching his classic gear, Hogan donned black and white, grew a goatee, and embraced a darker persona, Hollywood Hogan. The heel turn shocked the wrestling world. Cheers turned to boos, and Hogan relished it. This bold reinvention gave him a second wave of superstardom. The NWO storyline became one of the most successful angles in wrestling history, catapulting WCW to ratings dominance over WWF for 83 consecutive weeks. Fans loved to hate Hollywood Hogan, and Hogan once again was at the center of it all. He proved he wasn't just a relic of the past. He was adaptable, relevant, and still the biggest draw in the business. The man who once preached righteousness now embraced rebellion, and fans couldn't look away. But even the greatest reinventions have a shelf life, and soon the lines between character and real life would blur in unsettling ways. By the late 1990s, WCW experiment had begun to unravel. Storylines grew convoluted, egos clashed backstage, and fans started tuning out. In 2001, WWE purchased WCW, ending the famous Monday Night Wars. And once again, Hogan stood at a crossroads. Many wondered if the industry had passed him by. But in 2002, the unthinkable happened. Hogan returned to WWE, stepping back into the ring where his legend was born. At WrestleMania Z in Toronto, Hogan faced off against The Rock in a match billed as Icon versus Icon. The crowd, expecting to support the younger, flashier Rock, erupted instead in overwhelming support for Hogan. Cheers thundered through the stadium, and chants of Hulk Hogan, Hulk Hogan, filled the air. In that moment, the old magic was back. Hogan was visibly moved. He shed the black and white NWO attire and returned to the familiar red and yellow. Hulkamania, it seemed, had one more run. Over the next few years, Hogan feuded with younger stars like Triple H and Randy Orton, proving he could still draw crowds. His final major match came at SummerSlam 2006. where he defeated Orton in a classic legend versus legend storyline. Although his in-ring time dwindled, Hogan remained connected to wrestling through guest appearances, documentaries, and Hall of Fame inductions. In 2005, he was inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame, solidifying his place as one of the greatest to step into the squared circle. But behind the scenes, real-life challenges were mounting. Family turmoil, public scandals, and personal heartbreak loomed like dark clouds, reminding fans that even superheroes can bleed. As Hulk Hogan's time in the ring slowed, his personal life became a saga of scandal, heartbreak, and public fallout. In 2007, tragedy struck when his son, Nick Bollea, was involved in a devastating car crash that left his best friend, John Graziano, with lifelong injuries. The legal proceedings and media scrutiny that followed cast a long shadow over the Hogan family. In 2008, Nick was sentenced to 8 months in jail for reckless driving, while Hogan and his then-wife, Linda, began to unravel under the strain. Just 1 year later, their divorce was finalized, Linda walking away with 70% of their liquid assets and nearly half ownership of Hogan's business ventures. A massive financial and emotional blow to a man who once stood at the top of the world. The worst was yet to come. In 2012, a leaked sex tape featuring Hogan and the wife of his friend, radio personality Bubba the Love Sponge, hit the internet. Hogan claimed he had no idea he was being recorded, but the damage was compounded when transcripts of the video revealed racist and homophobic remarks. The public backlash was swift and brutal. WWE cut ties with him immediately, removing all references to him from its platforms and suspending his Hall of Fame membership. Sponsors vanished, merchandise disappeared, and fans were divided. Hogan publicly apologized, expressing shame and remorse, saying he was not the same man today. But the controversy left a scar that would take years to heal. The hero of millions had fallen hard. The man who once represented strength, resilience, and virtue was now facing the toughest opponent of his life, himself. Just when it seemed Hogan's career had reached its lowest point, an unexpected legal battle reignited public interest. After the sex tape leak, Hogan, under his legal name Terry Bollea, filed a lawsuit for invasion of privacy. The pursuit of justice for the humiliation and emotional distress caused by the leak. This personal court case evolved into one of the most pivotal legal showdowns in modern media history. Behind the scenes, Hogan had a powerful and unexpected ally, tech billionaire Peter Thiel, who had previously outed Hogan's sexuality without his consent. Thiel quietly funded Hogan's lawsuit as part of a broader plan to take down the media company Gawker, which had published the tape. The trial in 2016 resulted in a stunning verdict. The jury sided with Hogan, awarding him $140 million in damages. The ruling shocked the media world. Gawker filed for bankruptcy, and its assets were sold to Univision. Hogan later settled for $31 million. The case was about more than just a sex tape. It was about setting boundaries on privacy and media overreach. Hogan's courtroom victory turned him into an unlikely poster child for personal dignity in the digital age and highlighted how billionaires could weaponize the legal system against the press. Following the Gawker trial, Hogan re-emerged not as the indestructible hero of old, but as a humbled man seeking redemption. His public apologies, while mixed in reception, reflected someone learning from the past rather than running from it. In 2018, WWE began slowly reintroducing him to fans, and by 2019, Hogan officially returned to live WWE programming, with his Hall of Fame status reinstated. Some fans welcomed this return, while others remained wary. Hogan, ever the showman, embraced the complex emotions with grace. Off the ring, he focused on rebuilding his personal life, marrying Sky Daly, a yoga instructor 25 years his junior. In 2023, the couple kept a low profile, opting for quiet stability in Clearwater, Florida. Hogan also reconnected with his children, Brooke and Nick, both of whom had faced their own struggles. His daughter, Brooke, a former reality TV star, had become a mother to twins in early 2024. Hogan expressed pride and joy at becoming a grandfather, calling it one of his greatest titles yet. Professionally, Hogan launched new business ventures, including his light beer brand, Real American Beer, distributing across 17 states in 2024. He continued making appearances at wrestling conventions, fan expos, and WWE episodes, including his last on Monday Night Raw in January 2025. Fans noted how reflective and grounded he had become. The fire in his eyes remained, but now it was tempered with wisdom and humility. Though his life had seen many glorious and regrettable turns, Hogan proved that redemption was possible, even for the most public of figures. While his wrestling persona might have dominated headlines, his ambitions extended far beyond the ring. As early as the 1980s, Hogan sought to expand his brand into film and television. His first major movie role was in 1982 as Thunderlips in Rocky III alongside Sylvester Stallone. Though brief, he'd introduced Hogan to Hollywood. In 1989, he starred in No Holds Barred, a wrestling-themed action film that, while not a box office hit, cemented his crossover appeal. Throughout the 90s, Hogan appeared in campy family films like Suburban Commando, Mr. Nanny, and Santa with Muscles. Critics panned them, but children loved them. For Hogan, it was about brand longevity, not awards. His face was everywhere. Cartoons, talk shows, Saturday morning toy commercials. In 2005, Hogan took his fame to reality TV with Hogan Knows Best, a series on VH1 that followed his family's life in Florida. It provided fans with a behind-the-scenes look at Hogan as a protective father and sometimes clumsy husband. The show ran for 4 seasons and spun off into Brooke Knows Best, highlighting his daughter's music career. Entrepreneurially, Hogan was always hustling. From energy drinks to frozen burgers, even a short-lived restaurant called Hulk Hogan's Pastamania. Perhaps his biggest misstep was passing on endorsing the George Foreman grill, opting instead for a meatball maker. Still, Hogan never stopped building his brand. Whether through business ventures, entertainment, or sheer willpower, he remained committed to staying in the spotlight, even when the world moved on. As the years went by, the toll of nearly 4 decades in the ring became undeniable. Hogan's iconic body, once seemingly indestructible, had been battered by countless matches, surgeries, and injuries. By his own count, he underwent more than 24 procedures, including multiple back and knee operations. In 2024 alone, he had a complex neck fusion surgery to address spinal pain. Each step forward brought setbacks and his mobility became limited. Yet he kept smiling, flexing for fans, and sharing stories with that same spark in his eyes. In interviews, Hogan spoke candidly about aging, regret, and the choices he made, both good and bad. He admitted he probably should have retired in his 40s, but the adrenaline, the crowd, the spotlight, those were addictive. Retirement wasn't a clean break. Even after his last official match in 2006, Hogan made sporadic appearances in TNA and fan events into his 70s. The fans never forgot him, and Hogan remained grateful. In his final year, Hogan appeared at the 2024 Republican National Convention, delivering a fiery speech supporting Donald Trump, classic Hogan. He also took pride in becoming a grandfather, sharing quiet moments of joy with his family. Then, on July 24th, 2025, after years of surgeries and health complications, Hogan suffered a sudden cardiac arrest at his home in Clearwater. He was rushed to Morton Plant Hospital but was pronounced dead shortly after. The news spread rapidly worldwide. Hulk Hogan, the man who once seemed larger than life, was gone. Yet, as fans would say, legends never truly die. The day Hogan died, millions across the globe mourned. Not just a wrestler, but a symbol of strength, charisma, and resilience. Tributes flooded in from fans, celebrities, and fellow wrestlers. Social media was filled with nostalgic clips. Hogan slamming Andre the Giant, tearing his shirt, or delivering his iconic line. What are you going to do when Hulkamania runs wild on you? His death marked the end of an era, but his legacy had long been cemented. Hogan was a 12-time world champion, a 2-time WWE Hall of Famer, and the face of the wrestling boom of the 1980s and 1990s. He wasn't the most technical wrestler, nor the fastest or flashiest, but no one drew a crowd quite like the Hulkster. He was the bridge that took pro wrestling from regional shows to global stadiums, from the fringes of entertainment into mainstream pop culture. Without Hogan, there might not have been WrestleMania, John Cena, or The Rock. His impact reached far beyond the ring. He inspired generations to dream big, to flex their muscles with confidence, and to believe heroes could exist in real life, even if they came in bandanas and mustaches. And while controversies may have scarred parts of his journey, they never erased the magic he created for millions of fans. Today, his legacy lives on through merchandise, memes, highlight reels, and countless kids who once aspired to be just like him. Hulk Hogan wasn't perfect, but he was unforgettable because legends, especially those built on strength, perseverance, and belief, don't fade. They echo forever. As the world says goodbye to Hulk Hogan, the final chapter of his life feels less like an ending and more like a full circle moment. From a bullied kid in Tampa who hid his body at the beach to a muscle-bound icon who stood tall before millions, Hogan's journey was never just about strength. It was about reinvention and resilience. His story wasn't perfect, but it was real. He stumbled, he soared, he failed, and he fought back. And through it all, he reminded fans that greatness isn't about being flawless. It's about showing up every single time, no matter how hard the fall. For 4 decades, Hogan wasn't just a wrestler. He was a living myth. Children idolized him, adults debated him, and the media couldn't look away. He made you feel something, whether it was awe, excitement, or even disappointment. That's what true legends do. They make an impact, and Hulk Hogan's impact is immeasurable. In the final years of his life, he found peace with his family, embraced his role as a grandfather, and remained proud of the legacy he helped build. When asked in a podcast how he wanted to be remembered, Hogan simply said, as someone who gave his all, someone who showed the world that you could overcome anything if you believe in yourself. And so we remember him, not just as a titan of wrestling, but as a man who lived loudly, loved deeply, and inspired endlessly. Rest in peace, Terry Bollea. And to all the little Hulkamaniacs out there, say your prayers, take your vitamins, and never stop believing.